So what sets BestSafe apart from other endpoint solutions? WALLIX BestSafe has several unique differentiators compared to traditional solutions, which make it a more powerful, more tailored solution, which we'll explore through 3 common use cases. Let's take the example of applications which need elevated privileges to run, like SAP, and we'll call our endpoint user Susan. The IT team has put the principle of least privilege into action and removed all administrative rights from Susan's endpoint, making it impossible for her to run SAP from her regular user account. Now, normally, the easy solution for IT is to give Susan a second account with privileges to use when she needs to work on SAP. Susan now has 2 accounts, which means 2 working environments and added complexity for the IT team. And this complexity increases exponentially with the number of applications and users across the organization. With BestSafe, IT no longer needs to create unwieldy second identities. They simply need to define a security policy for SAP, which can elevate the privileges of the application, not the user, as needed. Susan and all her fellow SAP users are thus able to use the program without a hitch in productivity and without exposing the endpoint to unnecessary elevated privileges. On the endpoint, no application other than SAP is impacted, and no user is granted admin rights. The endpoint is protected without any disruption to the user. Next, let's look at a use case where BestSafe differs significantly from traditional solutions, offering granular control over application execution. With traditional approaches, control is strictly black or white. IT can either allow or prohibit an application from running on an endpoint. But what about the gray area? What happens when black and white rules are too rigid for teams to work efficiently? BestSafe offers additional control options, such as preventing certain applications from running for some users but not for others, preventing all applications from running except those on an authorized list specific to that endpoint, preventing all or some applications from accessing specific local or network directories, and ensuring that applications can run but never giving them privileges even when the user launching them has elevated privileges. This last feature enables organizations to protect endpoints from malware even while allowing admin rights for certain users. This next use case takes granular endpoint protection to new levels. BestSafe enables full control over API calls made by each application and determines whether they are authorized or not. This functionality is particularly useful for protecting web browsers against malware, which can otherwise force the browser to make encryption API calls to encrypt a hard disk, for example. BestSafe can be configured to allow the web browser to run normally, except when it calls a Windows encryption API, in which case the browser may run, but the API call is stopped in its tracks. This enables IT to safely allow users to continue using their web browser while keeping endpoints secure from dangerous attacks. The IT team can also control the number of encryption operations that take place on an endpoint, as well as the frequency, the files and directories on which they're permitted, and so on. And when one too many encryption operations has been attempted, BestSafe can end the process attempting to execute them. And finally, in the event that somehow, despite all the protections in place, a ransomware succeeds in encrypting a file, BestSafe will store the decryption keys. Ultimately, BestSafe offers full control over application execution, leaving both users and IT teams happy with easy and efficient work and in-depth endpoint security. With this innovative approach to endpoint privilege management, IT teams no longer have to choose between security and user productivity. With BestSafe, both are possible, with a solution that enables robust endpoint protection via fine-grained control over application-level privileges.